Pog you and welcome. I'm gonna be going over how to modify PS1 games. This isn't really gonna be specific to any particular game. This is kind of like general purpose, general for the most part. I will be doing this with Mega Man X4 though. This is also mainly gonna be focusing on the whole modification aspect of it. I will at least go over some of the tools I use for reverse engineering. So the first thing you're gonna need is Hydra. This really isn't specific for this tool isn't actually specific for PS1. This is just a decompiler. But yeah, go download it. It's on GitHub. The next thing you're gonna need is the Hydra extension, the PS1 extension. So essentially, this will help you essentially figure out most of the hardware related stuff for the PS1, and as well as like the libraries and stuff. Yeah, also get that. You want you want to make sure that the extension the version of the extension you're getting matches the same version of Ghidra that you're using. Otherwise, it won't allow you to use the extension. So keep that in mind. The next couple of tools I'm gonna be mentioning are gonna be more specific to the modification aspects. The next thing you're gonna need is nuggets. Or I think that's what the creator called this. Oh wait, actually, right. In order to actually use Nugget, you need to install a MIPS toolchain. So just copy and paste this line of code into your command prompt, and then open up a new terminal and install the right version of MIPS. Pretty simple to install. This is just going to run some script that installs the toolchain. The next thing you're going to need is also the converted libraries. I'm also I also assume that you probably should have mentioned this earlier, but I'm assuming that you at least know some C and that you have GCC and stuff installed. If you've done C or C++, you 99% chance you already have GCC. So yeah, get the converted libs. I already have it in there. Since we're going to be using a modern day toolchain and not some super out of date compiler, a modern day compiler. The next thing we're going to need, this is probably the main tool that's going to be helping us when it comes to like modifying existing games and stuff. You're going to need this modding tool by Red Hot. So just click this button, click download, and then download it. I already have that installed as well. Or I guess sorry, download. It's not really something you need to install. So in here, and you should find free folders when you extract that zip file. You should find a games folder, a docs folder, and a tools folder. So essentially, this tools folder contains all the Python scripts needed for the tool to actually work and stuff. Over in here in in this folder, this is where you would place the library that we downloaded earlier. So you see this, you would basically get this, and then you would drop it in here. Pretty simple stuff. So let's go over here into the games folder. So over here in the games folder, you can see that I already have some games set up in here. So all you need to do is just make a new folder for your game. In this case, Mega Man X4. Over here in the config.json and the disk.json, this is where we set up basically settings related to the game, not really specific to our specific mod, just the game in general. We can also Red Hat was really smart when he was making this tool. So essentially, if we want to write code once and have it work across multiple different versions, we can define multiple different versions in these two JSON files. This disk.json file is for mainly specifying basically which files of the game we want to modify. So over here, I have the exe. This is the start memory address. This is the start offset. Over here in the config.json, this is for configuring other things related to the tool. I'm also gonna don't worry if this all seems pretty overwhelming. You can go in here and read. Wait, that's the wrong one. You can go in here and read the documentation. Red Hat did a pretty good job when it comes to documentation for this tool. I'm also gonna upload this to GitHub once this once I finish making stuff. I'm pretty sure I know what I want to make. But yeah, make sure you have this ticked to 1, and make sure you have this ticked to 0 so that you're. I'm not sure why this was an option, but yeah, make sure you have that ticked to 0. And of course, have this ticked to 1 so that we can obviously use those libraries. The next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be I've already done this, but I'm assuming you're starting fresh. You notice how I have this symbols property here for each of the different versions. Essentially, these are actually just text files that will be fed to the linker. So if I go here and go into object.text, you can see that I'm defining a bunch of addresses here for all of my different functions and also variables. You would do the same thing for variables here. Over here in the include, this is I have each of those files dedicated for each header file. So you would use the same header files, but you would use different symbol text files. So that way you can write code once and then have it work across multiple different versions. But yeah, let's actually, I guess, there's something else. There's also something else we're gonna be needing. Let me make a new mod. Debug.tools. I highly suggest that you use Visual Studio Code. It'll allow you to do a ton of awesome things. Since we are going to be using C to modify the game. So yeah, this is Visual Studio Code. Let's open up a folder. Wait, let me get this path. Open folder. Select folder. Save as workplace. For later. Now, if you're not familiar with Visual Studio, if you hit Control-Shift-P, you should get this menu pop up here, and then if you click this, we can edit various C-related properties. In particular, what we want to do is I want to reference that include folder that we made earlier, which had the common.h file and all those other header files. And we also want to reference the library, the SDK library header files. So over here, just paste in this path here. Now every single time, if I try to type in like include, wait, let's make a new folder. Debug menu.h, or wait, no, .c. If I type in include dot common dot h, wait, what? Okay, there we go. I just need to save it. It actually, it's not gonna yell at me. It's actually gonna know that I have the header file defined somewhere else. But yeah, I basically, this is where I define all the types and stuff for my variables. Make sure when you're defining variables, you use the extern keyword and just use the forward declaring for your functions. One other Visual Studio Code JSON file we're going to be making is a if I'm remembering correctly, it should be launch.json. So here in launch.json, I'm actually just gonna be lazy and I'm just gonna copy and paste this because this isn't really something I want to ever type out ever again. So basically, I'm not really going to go into too much into detail about this now, but when we installed this toolchain, it installed something called GDB, which is basically going to be helping us debug and stuff. So if I go to this path here, you can see a bunch of files and stuff over here. Basically, this should be the default path of where that toolchain got installed to. So app data, roaming, MIPS, yeah. You would need to configure this based off of where you have it installed. Now, we have most things set up. The one more thing that we gotta set up, I haven't actually made any code or anything, but we need to basically tell the linker, or I guess technically the mod tool in this case. We need to tell it like where this debug menu.c file is located. Again, you can look at Red Hot's GitHub page for more documentation. But essentially, if we go in here, into docs, developments, we need to make a text file called buildlist.txt. So in here, type in new folder, build list.txt. And over here, basically we need to find the version, the section, the address, the offset, and usually I don't really bother with this. Usually I just put 0, where the C file is located, and an optional binary name, which I usually don't bother with. So in this case, I'm going to put American, because we're dealing with the North American version of Mega Man X4. Put a comma, put exe since we're working in the exe. The address, I'll put that later. I need to open up Ghidra and like figure out where I want to put that code. I think I know where I want to put that code. And then we put debug menu.c. If you want to specify multiple C files to get like sort of compile together, which is really handy if you have like a lot of code and you just want to split it across different files. all you need to do is, oh wait, let me fix that folder path so that yeah, fix that path. All you need to do is put a space, and that'll basically tell it, oh, use another C file, but keep it at the same address. But yeah, pretty simple for the most part. Let me see. I'll be right back. I'm gonna see what I can make. I have a pretty good idea of what I want to make. All right, I'm back. So I add a lot more to this program than I initially thought I was gonna add. Apparently, over 1,000 lines of code. This isn't meant to be a C programming tutorial, but I will at least go over some of the things I usually do when I'm making these sorts of modifications. Whenever I'm trying to like hook onto a function, or in other words, get a function to like come to where my custom code and stuff is, I almost always program that little tiny bit of code in assembly, because when you program in C, the stack takes the compiler and stuff takes care of the stack automatically for you, and we really don't want that the function messing with the stack in this case, since there's the rest of it's basically two functions fighting against each other when it comes to the stack. Yeah, I never do this part in regular C unless I'm replacing the whole function. And I also I think I have this jump and link command over here, where this run various function is being called. I almost always do it when there's already a jump and link command, because that way I know for sure that, oh, the registers are backed up, and oh, the stack is perfectly fine. The stack is already adjusted to accommodate for the jump and link. I don't really have to worry about anything. So yeah, I always generally put I always put my hook where there is already a jump and link command. One other thing I should mention is, remember how I was mentioning about the SDK library and stuff? Even though I wanted to include them and stuff, I don't want to actually like. I mostly just want their like data types and stuff. I don't really want to include the actual function in my final compile code, because the game actually already has pretty much most of them. Like this move image, load image, store image, load image, or image, add prim. So basically, instead of like including the function with our code, it's better to just use what's actually in the game. So we do essentially what we did earlier in the common.h file, and we essentially forward declare our functions, and then in the linker text file, which we mentioned in here in the config.json, remember you would use a different linker file most likely, since the addresses are almost always going to change between version, especially on the PS1. Yeah, we would basically use the functions that are already in the game. But yeah. If you wanted to make it so that like your code, you would also need to make some changes to this build list.txt file if you wanted to make it so that your code works with multiple different versions. Essentially, you would take what you already had for your initial version, and then you would copy and paste it, and then the only thing you would really need to do is change this address over here for the most part, and then change this, which is the version. If you also need to change the code itself, you would do something like this. I'm obviously not in the function, but let's just pretend I am. If build is equal to whatever we have, whatever we want to check, whatever build ID we want to check for. I don't know. Just put this, I guess. Else, and if a pretty standard stuff for C. But yeah, that's how we accommodate for multiple different versions. But yeah, don't follow my poor practices. Yeah. As you can see here, I'm relying a ton on macros, and over here in the menu check function, I'm doing a little function pointer thing here. Yeah, you don't want to do this, mainly because when you do this, it gets compiled as jumping link register, which is this over here. So essentially, you're gonna waste 8 bytes worth of space trying to load this value into one of the registers and then jumping to the location, instead of just immediately jumping to the location. So yeah, really bad practices. Do not follow this, and do not follow this. It's just that I didn't have most of the variables defined, and for this, I actually know I had a lot of space to work with, so I didn't really care too much about optimizing stuff. But I mean, I did optimize some things here and there, though. But anyways, now we have that set up, we should be able to, you know, get to like compiling and stuff. So take this line of code. Oh wait, let me open up a new terminal just to mimic what it would be like. This is a batch file I made over here, but I usually prefer doing this in Visual Studio Terminal. So run this line in the terminal, and then we have a bunch of options popping up. We really only care about option 1 and option 4. So press 1, hit enter, press the version you want to compile for, in this case 1, and everything seemed to work, so that's good. The next option we really care about is option number 4. Essentially what this does is it takes everything that got generated in the output folder over here, and it puts that back into the game files, based off the address we obviously have over here, and the region. And one other thing it does is it also repackets the game and puts it back into that bin+q file. That does require this program called make psxiso. Make sure you have this defined in your environment variables and that you get it over here, so that when you type make psxiso, that pops up. You also need dump psxiso if you want to use option 3 to extract the files. I already have them extracted though, so I don't really need to worry about that. And also, if you need Python to use this tool, and you need these dependencies. Forgot to mention that earlier, but yeah, just copy and paste this into your command prompt, each of these individual lines, and you should be good to go. Assuming you already have Python installed. But yeah, let's get to actual, like, debugging and stuff. I have my PS1 booted up here, if you haven't noticed the audio already. I wasn't telling you folks to use Visual Studio Code simply because it was some super fancy editor. There's actual, like, benefits for using it. I'm gonna show off what I do with the PS1 first, and then I'll show off what I use, how to set it up with Redux. If you have the PS1 serial to USB cable, just get NOPS. You probably already have this though if you have the cable, but yeah, get NOPS. Preferably install this in your environment variable so that you never have to think about like where it's located on your PC ever again. Link in the description. Also, this code will be up on my GitHub. Friendly reminder to like, comment, subscribe, and check me out on Twitch and Twitter. Wink, wink. But anyways, yeah, once you have that, copy and paste or put this line into your terminal. knob/gdb local IP address COM port. In this case for me it's going to be 5. Hit enter. Monitoring PSX accepting GDB connection. Okay, that should be good. Now we hit F5 on our keyboard, and that should connect, assuming we have launch.json set up. And okay, pause. That might not be clear, but I did actually pause the PS1. You can see that 0's frozen here. I'm pressing every single button and I can't move 0. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add a breakpoint right here. So as soon as I open up the menu via the select button, the game should just pause. That's essentially what breakpoints do. Very handy if you want to like debug in your code and stuff and see if your functions are actually being called and stuff. But yeah, just do that. Click continue. You have to have the PS1 or PCSX Redux pause if you want to add a breakpoint. But yeah, I can move again now. Now, if I press select, this should stop this should halt the PS1. And hey, look at that, it actually worked. It's almost like it's magic. Magic. But yeah, I added a lot of stuff in this debug mode menu. Over here in the player debug mode, you can set which weapons you have and the bosses you've beaten. You can change your HP. You can change your ammo. You can change your lives. You can change which checkpoint you were last at. You can make it so that like 0 just automatically clears the level, or X if you're playing as X. Press select to get out of the menu. Over here, you can set which heart tanks you have. You can set the sub tanks you have and your armor parts. Over here in the XA test, essentially you can play the game's music from here. I can also change the volume, make it super quiet or make it loud. I can also change it to stereo or mono by hitting cross. Over here in debug overlay, I can show the player coordinate as well as the camera coordinates. If I go back here to debug overlay, I can also show the collision, and I can also show the hitboxes as well as the camera triggers. So essentially, where X or 0 need to be in order to change the location of the camera. There's 3 different hitbox modes, hitbox viewing modes. The first one's for collision, which is why I have this green box around 0. And nope, there's a camera trigger. See? Keep in mind you need to have collision enabled to show the hitboxes and camera triggers, because I use the same buffer that's normally used for drawing the background. But yeah, let's see. Okay, so zeros for collision. 1 is for your weapon-related hitboxes, so anything that's a weapon and things that can be damaged by weapons. And 2 is for hitboxes with a 0 and things that damage 0. Over here in the scroll debug mode, you can force the camera to move up or down or left and right. No, wait, let me get rid of this. You can also do it for each independent layer. And you can also change the borders as well and toggle each layer on and off. If you press triangle, then that will kind of like unlock the borders to what their maximum values can generally be, based on the width and height of the level. Oop, oop. See, now we can see the bottom of the level. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. Now, obviously, okay, like I mentioned earlier, you need, so rebuilding this disc is not exactly super convenient. I already did it earlier, which is why I'm not really doing it again, but there is some better alternatives. So if I wanted to, let's just say, quickly test some piece of code, what's a better option is to upload it to the PS1 or PCSX Redux. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna type in, I'm gonna write my new code, draw debug text, or wait, yeah, 7 row test. Okay, recompile that. Now, I'm doing this with NOPS. You would hit option 7 if you wanted to do this with Redux. Let me disable that. 1, 2. Oh, wait. Oh, that's because I'm already... God damn it, that's because I already have knobs open. Oops. Any moment now. And bam! That actually worked. Test. But yeah, pretty nice and quick way of being able to test out your code and seeing if it works and stuff. If you wanted to do this with Redux, what you would need to do is over here in emulation, you would make sure this is disabled. You would enable everything GDB related over here, and you would enable the web server. You shouldn't have to configure anything else, assuming you don't want to mess around with web server related shenanigans. But yeah, I already have the disk over here. Also, when you use option 4, it's going to make a XAML file over here, and it's also going to make a bin plus Q file, assuming you had make PSX ISO. If you're using an external program to modify tons of files and stuff on top of making code, at least right now with the current version of Red Hot's tool, I recommend making a different version, kind of like what I have down here. Yeah, I recommend making a different version. It's not that, even though I'm only modifying one game file, and it's just for that collision related information. So yeah, let me load my states, and let's recompile this. And then, same process as last time, hit F5. Pause PCSX Redux. At your breakpoint. Hit play. And then if I hit select, bam. And since we're on Redux, we can actually see the state of some of our variables. Like if I go here to buttons pressed, I can see that the value is 0. The menu gets opened 1 frame after pressing select, so that's why this is actually 0, despite the fact that the menu is actually being opened. Bam. Surprisingly, this is actually just one giant staircase. Bam. But yeah, this is actually, this debugs tool is actually a combination of a few other tools I made. This debug font is actually something I made a little while ago. It just loads in a set of unused fonts in the game, or an easy way to print text to the screen. We should be able to go to where its textures are. Actually, wait, I'm gonna... Yeah, there we go. But yeah, highly recommend using PCSX Redux. It's super good when it comes to debugging and stuff. If I click, go to texture here, bam, there's our ASCII text. But yeah, these are just sitting on the game disk, but the game never actually loads this. But anyways, thanks everybody for watching. Pog, hopefully you learned a few things today. Hopefully this was helpful to some people. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good YouTube stuff. And of course, Pog you.